I guess the first thing you've got to ask yourself is, do you really need a ute, a pickup truck? Are you going to be putting stuff in the back? Because in my opinion, an SUV is a little bit safer because it usually has a bit more of a comprehensive suspension system, and for the same reason, it's a bit more comfortable. So utes usually feature a live axle rear end with leaf springs. Leaf springs are very heavy duty, but they're not known for comfort. The Ford Ranger Platinum comes in to try and bridge that gap between luxury SUV and utilitarian workhorse. It's kind of a luxury version of the new Ranger. Telltale signs that this is the Platinum, aside from the big badge there, just some dark trimmings, like the front bumper bar here has got some black trimmings there, and it's also got this titanium finish as well, or sort of brushed aluminium finish, sorry, for a lot of the highlights. It also comes with these unique 20-inch alloy wheels. They're wrapped in 255/55 highway terrain tyres. These aren't hardcore off-road tyres like you can option on other Ranger models, but they, you can go off-road in them, but they're more suited to on-road. The Platinum is also available in V6 only. I think it looks good. It looks neat and a bit prestige, especially with the brushed aluminium look around the window trims there. And around the back, this is still a good workhorse because it comes with the fully electric roller shutter here. Like on the Wild Track, you just push a little button around the side and the thing will roll back automatically. You push it again to stop it, and then again, and it will come back the other way. I think these types of tray area or tub area covers are the best because you can still stack up high things if you want to and just have it fully retracted, but you still have the security of a hard cover, so you can close that up, lock the car or lock the vehicle, and everything will be locked and secure inside. It's also fully sealed as well. It's got rubber seals there. I've driven them in the rain and no water got through, but I'm sure if it was really pouring down, you might get a bit of a couple of droplets coming through there. It does come with a power socket at the back here too. And it also features the quite innovative flexible rack system. So this sports bar actually can slide all the way to the back here, and it's got some pop-out roof racks on the top there. I think that's a very clever idea because if you slide that all the way back, you've got that full length of the roof as load space. And for this style of vehicle, where a lot of them are being used as workhorses, that's just going to go down really well with buyers, I think. I've noticed the Platinum also features a damper on the tailgate, so you can drop this down and it just slowly drops down, whereas the other ones, they do go pretty slow, but they crash at the end. I'm not sure if that's part of the MY24 model range or if it's just exclusive to the Platinum. I'll find that out for you and flash up the exact spec there. But what I was getting at before is, are you really going to use this tray area? Because if not, the Everest Platinum, which you can get as the same sort of styling theme, it actually is a little bit more expensive than the Ranger Platinum. You can use the boot in the Everest for shopping and general items, whereas it's a bit hard to put your shopping in this because it's just going to bounce and roll around everywhere. And then inside, yeah, it's definitely a luxury focus in here. So you've got that diamond pattern for the stitching, contrast stitching in some areas as well. And then the full size 12-inch touchscreen and digital instrument cluster as well. This also comes with all of the off-road driving modes that you get with the V6, including a 4A mode, which allows you to drive on the tarmac with sort of the security and safety of all-wheel drive. And then on board, it feels like a luxury sort of atmosphere in here. It actually feels a lot like the Everest. It feels like an SUV. It doesn't feel like a truck. You do sit high off the ground, but you sit in the cabin, like the window sill is quite high compared with some utes where you feel like you're really sitting high, like in a truck. This actually has a nice driving position and seating area for all the passengers. Plenty of room as well. My head's nowhere near the ceiling, as you can see, and even the leg room, I feel like I've got enough space to move around. Good amount of storage in here as well. You've got a little Easter egg in there. It's a picture of an icon of a packet of fries, and you've got a wireless charger there and twin cup holders. Nice big center console box as well. New for the MY24, Ford has updated the touchscreen, so now it features a home button. It just gives the main functions a sort of centralized area. I quite like that change. But in saying that, the Volkswagen Amarok, which is based on the same platform as this Ranger, it uses its own interface, and I actually like the Amarok's interface a bit better. It's a bit basic. It's just a grid layout with all your apps, but I just find this a little bit confusing at times because everything drops down or pulls up. So you've got the climate control that sort of swipes up, and then even that home screen, it's a drop down page. Where's the sort of main hub? It kind of feels like you've got, you know, lots of tabs open on your computer. It's just a little bit confusing, but the graphics and everything are all quite nice. And down below you've got a little string of your main apps there too. And then your drive modes down here. If you push this off-road button, you'll get the camera system show up, and you've also got your rear diff lock. And then you can go through and change the driving modes by twisting this. You've got a few different options there: normal, eco, mud, ruts, sand. Sand is just locking the rear diff there in the sand mode, and it's also gone into 4H there, so that's basically locking the front and rear, I suppose. Overall, I think this is quite a nice cabin. It feels, you know, a bit luxurious. It does have this wood trimming along here as well, exclusive to the Platinum, although it's kind of the same color as the leather, and it's a bit hidden. It kind of needs to stand out a little bit more, in my opinion, because you don't really notice it straight away. But yeah, that's just nitpicking really. And then the Platinum also comes with the new handle system. It's a little bit weird, but you get used to it. The Platinum also comes with the auxiliary switch panel up in the ceiling here, and the Ranger is actually pre-wired as well, so you can hook up a LED light bar and the wiring is already into the electrical box, feeding through to these switches, which makes it really easy. And in the back seat, you've got quite a nice amount of room with a flip down armrest with cup holders. I've got my seat in my normal position. I'm about 170, sorry, that sun's right in your face. I'm about 170 centimeters, and I've got plenty of room there. Even my headroom is really good. It's probably one of the most comfortable utes in this specific class, but in saying that, they're all quite similar. Some of them are a bit more narrow. Some of them, yeah, feel like you're sitting upright, whereas this has got a nice bench that you're kind of sitting reclined slightly. But overall, yeah, it's definitely very comfortable for this class of vehicle. You've also got twin climate vents down there, and then 2 types of charging ports. We'll go for a bit of a drive and check out how it goes. The V6 engine in here is, I like to think of it as more of a replacement to the old 3.25 cylinder. Even though it is a V6, you might think performance. It's not really as quick as you might expect, depending on what you're expecting, but 184 kilowatts, 600 Newton meters. I think the torque is the best benefit, especially if you're towing, because it just steams along the road. You don't have to rev it out, and you can let that 10-speed gearbox just work up through the gears, and there's plenty of torque all the time. Also exclusive to the Platinum is this Equinox color. It does come with a black roof as standard, but you can option to delete that so it's all one color. It's a no cost option. But yeah, this color is exclusive to the Platinum. All right, we'll go for a drive, and I'll also do the performance testing a bit later on. Out on the road, I think the best thing about the V6 is just its smoothness and effortlessness compared with the 2-litre biturbo. I reckon the 2-litre biturbo is actually, it's not a bad engine. It's quieter now since Ford has made some revisions to it for the latest generation Ranger, and it actually goes pretty well. It's surprisingly responsive, especially low in the gears. It'll actually pick up pretty good. But the V6 is just, yes, much smoother. You don't need to push it very hard to achieve the same job. The V6 is also quieter as well. You can hardly tell that it's a diesel actually. There's no, or very little of that typical diesel clatter. it just sort of smoothly hums along. And even in the mid-range, it's got a certain sort of distinct V6, not a howl, but there's this very distinct noise as you rev it out. It's definitely not typical of a diesel. Just floor it. Yeah, it's got this sort of certain bassness to it where you can tell it's a bigger capacity engine. In terms of the handling, I'm not in the best environment to showcase the handling, I know, but I have tested the Ranger various variants in pretty, spirited conditions or spirited roads and things, and I think that the Ranger is one of the best handling utes in its specific class. I know that's not, a huge boast, but out of all the utes, I think it does handle the best. It's more of an SUV style of handling rather than a big pickup truck. I like the way the front end stays very flat, so a lot of SUVs and pickups, especially the heavy duty ones, you'll turn it in, say I'm turning into a left hand bend, I'll turn it in and the front corner will really lean down, whereas in the Ranger I find it stays very flat and horizontal and you just turn in and it just goes. The steering is reasonably engaging, it's not a sports car, so you're not going to have that sort of enjoyment there, but for a ute, again, I think it's one of the best handling out there. And you can place it on the road pretty well as well, so through the little chicane there, I get a sense that I know where the wheels are. It doesn't feel too big and cumbersome, even though it is quite a large vehicle, 5 meters long plus. These take some getting used to, all of the utes, whereas I think it feels pretty natural, and I think most people will get used to it pretty quickly, compared with some of the other utes that are just a bit more cumbersome, or they feel a bit more cumbersome anyway. Up a little corner here. You can actually apply a bit of power and it won't spin away the inside wheel. It does have a diff lock, the Platinum, and you can engage it while you're in two-wheel drive, I think. Yeah, I've just engaged the diff lock while driving along on the tarmac. Now I'm going to quickly turn that off because it's not a good idea to have the diff locked while you're on the tarmac. I don't see why you should ever do that, but you've got the option there. So if you're on a farm or something like that, you don't want to engage four-wheel drive for some reason, you can just hit the diff lock and get a bit more traction. Or if on the other hand you just want to do some donuts or something like that, you can activate the diff lock, turn the stability off, and it should rip around pretty easily. On the grass or dirt, that is. I don't mean on public roads and things, I just mean on a farm or something. In terms of fuel economy, I'm averaging 10.1 litres per 100, and that's over a distance of about 456 kilometres so far. I think that's pretty reasonable. I've tested a lot of utes over the years, often with a 4-cylinder diesel, and I get that sort of figure from a 4-cylinder. Maybe mid-9s or something, but it's not a huge sacrifice. It's not like when you used to pick between the 6-cylinder and 8-cylinder Ford Falcon and Holden Commodore. This is not a huge jump up to go with the V6. And I think part of that is because it's more effortless. You don't have to push this thing to achieve the same result. And I think on the highway in particular, and on country roads and things, I think the V6 has the potential to offer really good fuel economy for what it is. So don't be too scared away by the V6 thinking that it's going to be chewing a lot more fuel. It's not actually that much more, and compared with some 4-cylinders, you might actually push them a bit more, especially if you've got it loaded up with some gear or towing. I think the V6 has the potential to perform at least equally or near equally compared with the 4-cylinder models. Compared with the 2-litre bi-turbo, the difference in 0 to 100, so that's flat out acceleration, with nothing in the vehicle, it's actually pretty close. It's not as distant as you might think. I've timed the 4-cylinder in as low as 9.5, I think, or 9.3 in some configurations. If you were to put the 2-litre bi-turbo in this, it would be a bit slower, I think, because it is sort of the heaviest specification. It's got all the kit and everything, so it's probably going to be worse off in something like this. But yeah, just in general, if you're tossing up the Ranger Sport, for example, and you're looking at this Platinum thinking, you know, the Platinum is going to be so much quicker, I think, yeah, don't have that frame of mind, because you might be a little bit disappointed. This is definitely quicker, but it's not extremely quicker, especially again compared with those lower spec models, XLT, XLS, or even the Sport model. Speaking of performance, let's go out now to the private road and do some 0 to 100 tests.